The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi everyone. Today on Aging Horizons, we're going to be talking about brain injury, or as you may know it, traumatic brain injury, TBI. It's a real difficult situation that is really on the rise in our country, and you need to know the details on what to look for when someone in your family or a friend might have something going on. We have a whole lot to tell you about, so stay tuned.
Out here, we love our animals, from the wildlife to the livestock. Inside, it's the same. They're just like family. We keep them happy and healthy, most of the time. Secondhand smoke puts pets at risk for cancer, feline lymphoma, vomiting, increases the risk of tumors and lung cancer, even causes eye and skin disease. Secondhand smoke puts your pet's life at risk.
If you give or receive care, you already know that it can cause stress on caregiver and receiver alike. The good news is, if you have limited resources, help is available. The Montana Lifespan Respite Program may be able to help you pay for care while you take a break. Even better news is how easy it is to apply. You can get an application online or have one sent to you. We'll get back to you within 5 working days. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
Final call like 566.
Hello, gentlemen. May I see your Montana Real IDs?
IDs? Why, I'm Captain Meriwether Lewis.
And I'm Captain William Clark.
Hang on, I see more than one William Clark.
It's the real me, I promise.
Discover more at mtrealid.gov. Available now.
Montana Real ID. It's the real me.
And me.
Seems like the power bills just get higher and higher every year. I'm on a fixed income and it just doesn't keep up. I hate to do it, but sometimes I have to choose between my meds and staying warm.
No one should ever have to choose between staying well and staying warm. If you need help paying your heating bills, call us today to find out if you qualify. Help is available for both homeowners and renters.
The cold gets into your bones and you can't get it out.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Kimmy Everman, and today we have a great show planned. We're going to be talking about brain injury. I came across a quote from our guest that I want to read today. It has been said that brain injury doesn't have a face until it happens to you or someone in your family or a friend. And that's really true. Brain injury can be an elusive situation, and the more education we have, the better we are at being able to handle and help somebody that might have a brain injury. We have with us today John Biggert. John, welcome back.
Thank you.
And John, you are the Executive Director of the Brain Injury Alliance of Montana.
That's correct.
I guess I want to start out by asking you, why do we need this alliance for brain injury?
Yeah, no, and that's a great question, and people often ask that.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize it, but here in Montana, I joke around and say that we work hard and we play hard, and I was born and raised here, so I know that very well. But we actually, the state toggles between second and third in the nation per capita for traumatic brain injury-related deaths. Those are the folks that unfortunately don't make it. The number one cause of traumatic brain injury in our state is motor vehicle accidents. And in addition to those folks that just unfortunately don't make it, on average about 33 people per day sustain some type of brain injury.
Oh wow, that's high.
And survive, exactly. And it's amazing. I was kind of talking to you a little bit earlier that I recently read that the World Health Organization has thrown out a statistic that they're saying by the year 2020 that traumatic brain injury will be the world's leading cause of death and disability. And And it's a challenge because traumatic brain injury or even concussions, they're not glamorous or glitzy, or so it's like you mentioned, the public education, the education of the healthcare systems out there it's so important. So,
and one of the things that when you were saying. One thing I think about, they're not pretty, and they're also almost invisible sometimes.
Yeah, they call it the invisible injury, and it's challenging because you'll hear doctors that work with folks that have had brain injuries all day long, and they'll say that brain injuries are like snowflakes, that there's no two that are alike. And our mission at the Brain Injury Alliance is to create a better future for individuals that are impacted by brain injury, individuals and their families. And we do that through several different ways. We do resource facilitation through our brain injury helpline. We do a lot of advocacy to help make sure people are getting taken care of. And then a whole another part of it is the prevention and awareness side of things, because they say that the only known cure for a brain injury is prevention.
Absolutely. Yeah. In terms of the Brain Injury Association, how do you stay afloat financially?
Yeah. Well, it's tough. Yeah. We unfortunately were not immune to the state's budget cuts about a year ago, and up until about a year ago, we were receiving funding that supported our brain injury helpline, and beyond that, everything else was funded by just private donors across the state, and hospitals help us, and other healthcare organizations. But unfortunately, that funding for that brain injury helpline went away, and so our organization had to be extremely creative throughout the last year, because we had two options. We could have either just turned the phone number off and no longer had that ability to help folks through the helpline, or we could get out and do everything we can to raise the money to be able to continue that.
Which one did you pick?
Well, we absolutely picked being able to continue that, but it was hard. It's been a really difficult year for us, and unfortunately, I think part of the consequences of us out trying to raise all that money is that it's taken away from our ability to actually provide the services and be there for a lot of the people that are calling. A lot of the one-on-one engagement that we used to be able to have in the past, that unfortunately had to go away just because we had to let some staff go, and even things like we've got a library in our at our facility based out of Missoula, and we've got folks all over the state that'll reach out to us, and on the honor system we'll check out books, and we'll send them books, and occasionally people keep them, and so our library seems like it's getting smaller and smaller, and it's kind of disappointing because we just unfortunately don't have the money to replenish some of those books.
And are you attached to any kind of a national?
We are affiliated with the United States Brain Injury Alliance, and that's a wonderful thing from an educational standpoint and from a national advocacy level. But we unfortunately, I meet with a lot of these folks, and one of the things that's really heartbreaking is that Montana is actually the only state that doesn't provide state funding currently for traumatic brain injury support and services. And in addition to that, or prevention and awareness type work, we had two outpatient traumatic brain injury facilities. There was one in eastern Montana and one in western Montana, and within the last year, both of those have actually closed. And so,
because of funding?
Yeah, I think funding was a big part of it, absolutely. And it's just so I run into so many people, and this is just heartbreaking, but they say, hey, I've got to go get services, and then they end up going out to Denver or to Salt Lake or to Seattle, and that's great for somebody that can afford those trips or has good insurance, but there's a lot of people that don't.
So you at the Brain Injury Alliance have your work cut out for you, John, don't you? It sounds like you guys, because I know you don't want to give up. This is definitely one of those heartfelt kind of situations, and I know that you guys don't want to give up.
Absolutely.
So, folks, we will be talking more about brain injury when we come back, and remember, it's kind of invisible sometimes, so you might want to stay with us so you can learn. We'll be right back.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
I had a pain in my neck and jaw. I was just short of breath. I was just so nauseous. I had a tremendous pressure in my chest. My heart felt like it was going to burst. I didn't know it, but I was having a heart attack. A heart attack. I could have died.
Know these warning signs and call 911 immediately. Symptoms of heart attack in women are often not recognized. New medications and treatments can prevent disability and save your life.
I'm Attorney General Tim Fox. Nowadays, all of you have to worry about cybersecurity. Something as simple as visiting pirate websites can put your computer at risk. Hackers use pirate websites to infect your computer and steal your ID and financial information, or even take over your computer camera without you knowing it. Don't let hackers into your house. Be careful with the websites you visit and warn your kids on how to stay safe online. To learn more, visit my website.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here with John Biggert talking about the Brain Injury Alliance of Montana and just traumatic brain injury in general. Welcome back, John.
Yeah,
nice to have you. Now, you know, we've talked about this is sort of an invisible situation. Let's put some reality to it. Let's say I've just had a car accident. I hit my head on the windshield. I go to the emergency room. Take over. What happens?
Yeah, no, that's a great way to look at it. Obviously, because we do have so many motor vehicles within our state. I drove over to Helena from Missoula this morning, and I feel like I slid half of the way.
I know.
You know, one thing that we want to point out first and foremost is that you don't have to hit your head to have a brain injury. If a person falls or is in a car accident, and if the momentum of their skull shakes that so hard, and then the brain impacts the inside of the skull, that's truly what a concussion is. A concussion is your brain impacting the inside of the skull, and a lot of times because your brain is free floating, a lot of times it will have that motion one direction, and then it bounces off the skull and actually goes back. And so a lot of times, you know, you don't have a cut by your eye because you hit the window or anything like that. But whether you do or you don't, obviously you want to get the healthcare follow-up that you need. If that involves going to the emergency room, that's great. You know, you know, in this day and age, I don't think it hurts to mention that you hit pretty hard maybe to the emergency room staff, even though you're not bleeding out of your head or there's evidence that your head's hurting, just so that you get them to kind of ask some of the right questions of maybe just making sure that they're doing a complete checkup on you. They do an amazing job in the emergency rooms, but obviously if you have broken leg and broken arm and things like that, they tend to address those types of things, and it's not always clear that there might be a brain injury because of that invisible factor.
Right. So one of the things that education is helpful with in the community is to help us know what to say when we go into an emergency situation like that, or even I have to go to the doctor. I fell on the ice and I hit the back of my head when I went down. You know, even though you may not have any symptoms at that point, maybe you don't have a headache, whatever you think it should be, mention it to your doc.
Very much so, and I think the primary reason behind that is that as our healthcare system becomes more and more aware of traumatic brain injuries and even mild traumatic brain injuries like concussions, we can put together an educational plan in place, and so the doctors can provide you with information. They can provide you with literature to reach our organization, the Brain Injury Alliance of Montana, or rehabilitation facilities, because many times when you're involved in a traumatic brain injury or mild traumatic brain injury, these symptoms don't always show up right away. In fact, sometimes they can even take weeks, months, and even years to show up. And so,
we have a colleague at our office who fell and had a concussion, and it didn't really come out for several days. And then she found herself not feeling right. And it's just very important, if that happens to you, take care of it. Run yourself over to the ER and talk to them about what might be going on, or talk to your doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, become educated about it. Engage yourself with what's out there, and it there are a ton of resources out there. A doctor described it really well when I met with in Eastern Montana, and he said that all of our Montana hospitals, no matter how big they are, dependent upon either financial situation or resources, you could draw a line around that hospital, and that's where their services stop. And so what happens is you get released from that hospital, you cross that line. A lot of times people are confused and they don't know what they're going through. They don't know how to react. Maybe it's not something that they absolutely need to go back to the emergency room for.
Right, but maybe talk to the doc.
Yeah. So what we do is, that's why I encourage folks to reach out to us through the brain injury helpline that we operate, is to contact us, and we can actually help connect the dots with organizations that are out there, and whether it's rehabilitation, whether it's there's so many different types of rehabilitation with a brain injury, and there's many other facilities and organizations out there that will help make sure that you get the proper treatment for proper recovery.
Right. Because even though we know there's no cure, if you will, early intervention is always better than letting it go.
Absolutely, yeah. We're learning so much more now about, they call it post-concussive syndrome, and that means that you're getting a concussion before the original concussion had a chance to properly heal. And what happens is your brain, the damage to the brain for that second concussion is significantly worse than it is for the first concussion, many times. And so obviously the number one reason for a brain injury with our seniors in our state is falling. And so they fall, they go to the doctor, don't go to the doctor, and maybe their head's not real clear, and then maybe they slip on the ice, and maybe they fall again, and just the symptoms and the situation becomes even worse.
So it sort of just builds on that, and like you said, just kind of gets worse.
It certainly can.
If you don't look into it. John, this has been some absolutely great information, and I know that our folks really want to hear more. We're going to talk a little bit more about your great organization in our next segment. You've been around 31 years.
Yeah, we've been helping people in Montana for 31 years.
I just, as you know, I knew the Brain Injury Association years ago, and so it makes me happy to see that you guys are still on the ground providing the education and the community support that's necessary, right?
I agree.
And getting the word out about that invisible thing that we call a brain injury.
Yes.
Right. Okay, folks, we have a whole lot more in our next segment. This you need to know. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere. You'll want to learn this.
I had a terrible fall in December, and I put a hole in my wall. I hit it with my head, and it really, really scared me. The Stepping On program gave me confidence. We had a physical therapist come. He gave me specific exercises to strengthen my legs. I think that a lot of people in Montana need to take this program. We all think that we get to a certain age, you hit 60, and we expect to fall. You don't have to.
My best friend could tell something wasn't right. I tried to hide it, but she knew. I just felt depressed. She wouldn't let it go. She was scared I might hurt myself. She told me I should talk to someone. I think she saved my life.
No one wears a sign that says, I need help with my energy bills. It's one of those things that's needed but unseen.
It's no fun to be cold in Montana, and heating bills can be cost prohibitive for a lot of people.
Because we care, we support Energy Share.
I like it that neighbors are helping neighbors.
1-888-779-7589.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here with John Biggert from the Brain Injury Alliance, of Montana, and talking about traumatic brain injury and brain injury in general. John, it's Brain Injury Awareness Month, March. We want to make sure that people are aware of that because I bet you have some stuff going on. We also want to talk about a great project that you all have been working on called Unmasking Brain Injury in Montana.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely can. Well, March being Brain Injury Awareness Month, it's an exciting month for us because it's an opportunity for us to get out there and just help share about the prevalence of brain injury in our country and especially here in Montana. And we actually, about a year or so ago, we had some brain injury survivors from all over the state and a few caregivers. They decorated masks. And they the purpose behind this is that a lot of times when somebody has a brain injury, they kind of lose their voice. They don't always have an ability to describe what they've gone through in the past and what they're currently going through, and it's difficult for them. So what we found is that by decorating a mask and then just putting a short description of what their mask represents as far as their personal journey with brain injury, that it's exciting for them. And so we started this project, like I said, about a year ago, and we created a display, and it's got 20 masks back to back. It's got a real neat display. And we started with one, and we originally thought that it would go to hospitals and healthcare facilities and be just something that was quick and over. And this blew up. The outreach, the impact that's taken place with this is just awesome. We're to the point now where we have 4 displays.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and it was really exciting too because we started getting calls from places like Carl Tyler Chevrolet in Missoula, a car dealership, and we displayed it there, and the airports and First Friday events. And so literally these displays, they've been in high schools, they've been at the colleges, and these will continue. We're gonna continue to move these displays across the state because we've only hit a few of the bigger cities, and they'll be in, like I said, the hospitals, and the whole purpose of that is just to share about brain injury in our state. The masks represent all types of brain injury, all ages of individuals, and a gentleman at the Missoulian, when he did a story on it, described it really well when he said the display will make you laugh and it'll make you cry because it's very impactful.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds wonderful. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Now, since it is Brain Injury Awareness Month too, we want to talk about supporting the Brain Injury Alliance of Montana. Do you want volunteers to help you out? Are financial gifts okay? I mean, how would you like to see that happen, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously our goal is to help people as much as possible, but if for any reason we don't have the funding or the financial support to be able to help people, you mentioned our 31st birthday. It would be really sad if anything happened to where we ended up having to close our doors, and we're not there, but we don't want to be there. So if there's volunteers across the state that want to help our organization, that would be fantastic. fantastic. And maybe there's people out there that just want to support a good cause, and maybe somebody that had a loved one that was
Sure.
impacted by a brain injury,
Sure.
that maybe they want to financially support us.
Right.
Because, right now with those state budget cuts that took place a year ago, every dollar that we receive helps tremendously.
Sure, right. And so important, I have personal experience with a person with a traumatic brain injury, and I don't know what we would do without your organization. There's so much information there and so much support to family members, to folks that have brain injury, that I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And John, we just have a couple minutes left in this last segment. How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are a statewide organization, so we're there to help folks from all over the state. I travel throughout the state and meet with people. I've got staff at our main office in Missoula. There are also brain injury support groups across the state that we can connect you with. To reach us, there's a couple different options. You can call us directly through our helpline number, which is 1-800-241-6442. If you're into the technology and want to pull up our website, you can reach us at www.biamt.org. And we'd love to visit with you. Even if you just have a story out there of yourself or somebody else. And we're also looking for more masks for that unmasking brain injury project.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we'd love to even do another display. And so if you are out there and you've been impacted by a brain injury, whether it was yourself or a loved one, we will send you a mask and you can decorate it. And if you'd like to, you can send it back and we can include it as part of that show.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Something that caregivers often need is that way to express what they feel is been affecting them, because as much as a caregiver wants to, it's a hard job.
Oh my goodness, we would need 2 or 3 more shows just to talk
about that. Well, the next time you're here, we'll talk about that. Now, one thing I don't want to go before we talk about this, the little card that you showed me. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting, and it's what it is this is a card, a business card, and it says, "I have sustained a brain injury" on one side, and it shows some of the symptoms directly attributed to a brain injury. And what it is because a lot of times when folks have brain injury, like we talked about, they have difficulty in expressing kind of what they're thinking. Not everyone, not everyone that has brain injuries in a wheelchair. There's a lot of folks that are walking, talking, highly functioning that have a brain injury, and they still have some challenges. But this gives them the ability to, put their name on here, and then if they're ever in a situation, whether it was, pulled over by the police or just ordering something or just visiting with someone, they have the ability to pull out this card and share it with someone. And so we have a whole bunch of these cards, and if anybody would like one, they can contact us. And
we're going to put that number up on the screen. Thank you so much, John. It has been great having you here. As always, great information. Folks, give a call and get that card if you need it. For Aging Horizons, I'm Kimmy Everman.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.